So looking at it from a human point of view, what better subjects would you have for genetic engineering or genetic experience than to examine twins, especially identical twins?
Abduction was not a word in the Wiener's everyday vocabulary 20 years ago.
I've always considered myself a fairly normal type guy, you know. Just Mary and I living our lives, you know, working every day, going through the same thing. There's no trauma in our lives or anything.
That world ended abruptly one summer night on a camping trip with their friend Charlie Foltz. Following their trip, the style and theme of their artwork suddenly took a radical and decidedly strange turn. They began having bizarre nightmares and found themselves overwhelmed with inexplicable fear. It seemed that something terrifying had occurred. But what was it? All that was clear was they could lose their work, their families, even their sanity, if they didn't uncover what had happened. With Ray Fowler's help, they undertook an investigation. It raised an unnerving possibility that they had never considered: alien abduction.
It takes a long time to get used to the idea of all of this. It wasn't something I found easy to cope with at first. There was a lot of feelings of uncertainty. Am I crazy? Is this some kind of physiological disease? Do I have a tumor in my head? Today we're going to be working with images that use light and shadow to create a mysterious mood. I like to tell people that it never really bothers me, and it's always at the backmost section of my mind. It's kind of a very mysterious setting, but in fact, it's fairly upfront in my mind every day of my life. We don't know if she's running from somebody. This is something I have to deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Day-to-day basis. Imagine telling your fiancé, your parents, your boss, that you believe you were abducted. Jim has no illusions about what's at stake. While his fiancée graciously allowed filming in her home, she will not appear on camera.
Yeah, my fiance's, she tries to stay out of this as much as possible. And I think, you know, she's partially frightened about this whole thing because here she is, she's in love, she's going to marry this guy who claims these very bizarre things are happening to him, which are way out of normal. And, you know, so it makes her wonder whether her fiancé is all there. And that's frightening for her. And if she accepts it, then she has to worry about these things coming for her. I mean, when they come for me, she's here too.
But what things? Who is coming? And what do they want? Jim needs to know.
We're not doing this to entertain people. We're not doing this for 15 minutes of fame on television. I mean, we're doing this because we want to find answers.
When Ray offered to investigate their case, Jim and Jack knew that it wouldn't be a cure for whatever is happening to them. But perhaps having some answers is better than none at all. This is horse country. Appearances are everything, and tradition is king. It's a world of money, power, and influence, the perfect setting for a soap opera. But behind the gates of one horse farm, a story is unfolding that's more like the Twilight Zone than Days of Our Lives. Claire and Diana, complete strangers until 8 years ago, or so they thought. When Diana hired Claire to manage the horse farm, they both thought their meeting was just a happy business deal. Claire was a skilled equestrian and trainer who needed work. Diana was trying to hold down a full-time job with the Forest Service and run the farm at the same time. But now they believe there was nothing chance about their meeting. Now they believe it was arranged. They are convinced that they were originally brought together in childhood as part of a bizarre alien experiment, and then reunited as adults.
I can't believe how you came to the farm. It was coincidence. That had to be arranged.
Because everything, I was totally out of character.
Claire was living a comfortable life hundreds of miles from Diana's farm. She had a good job, an ordinary lifestyle. Then one day she left it all behind for no apparent reason, just a feeling.
I had a very stable life. Although I was divorced, I raised my son alone. We had a normal lifestyle. I'd worked very hard to get my home, and I had my rose gardens, and everything was the way I wanted. I had a really good job that I'd had for years and was making a reasonable income.
But something mysterious caused Claire to pick up and leave everything she'd worked for.
One day I woke up, got halfway to work, pulled off on the exit ramp, much too early, turned around, drove home, called the office, resigned. Within 2 weeks, I was out of the house with what I could stuff in the back of my car, and I drove out of there with no idea where I was headed. I left everything. I left everything I had worked all my life for.
This was just about the time Diana needed a new farm manager.
I was desperate. I'd had 3 or 4 people come out and interview for the job, but it wasn't quite what I wanted. We weren't compatible somehow. And got this call from Claire. She showed up a couple hours later.
Then began, for both women, the strange feeling that they had somehow met before.
It was almost like I knew her. I walked her around the farm, showed her what was happening, and always in the back of my mind was, I really met this person someplace before. I hired her. She moved in the next day, started managing the farm, and that was 8 years ago.
Claire's job included room and board, so she moved onto the farm with Diana and Diana's brother and sister. Claire and Diana soon parlayed their sense of deja vu into a strong friendship and settled down to a horse-based routine.
Our lives were relatively normal. We had, ups and downs, good times, some not so good times, but things went on pretty well. We were just normal, everyday people.
Business as usual was interrupted when bizarre events plunged Claire and Diana headlong into a search for answers that ended in one word: abduction. Since then, they've been living a nightmare.
There's days that I have that I'm not even convinced it's really happening, that it's really a dream. But then again, I think back, and dreams don't leave blood on the pillow, leaves in the bed. Dreams don't do that. So, in my mind, I know it's not a dream. I wish I were making it up. But most days, I know I'm not.
It's not like you can go to the police, you can't call 911, you can't get help. You can't even help yourself. You can't fight back. Get mad. Go on. Okay, that's better. Pull him up and take charge. You're letting him just fly through your hands, and you are the one in charge. Control is very important to me. I need control in this reality because I have none of it with them. You need a little more contact with him. He's still running through your hands. He's running through your legs. I've been that way all my life. And I had always assumed that those personality traits had more to do with me just as a person. You are the boss, not the horse. Than something that may in fact have come in response to what has happened to me throughout my life.
They know some people wish they wouldn't talk about it. Claire works hard to protect her family's privacy. Diana's family refuses to appear, and they would prefer she didn't either.
It's been tough for them, almost as tough for them as it is for us, because they don't understand what's going on. They don't want to believe we're crazy, but they've known us all our lives, and going, but this person isn't known for telling tales. They're not prone to making things up. They don't lie.
But Claire and Diana know that some people think they do lie, and some think they're crazy. But there are many others who stand by them.
Been we come here about 8 years, maybe a little longer. Well, I have no problem at all with these people. If I did, I wouldn't come here, because I can stay busy. I'm a real good horseshoer, lady. I'm sure it's hurt their business. There's no way it could have helped their business, because people don't want to come where they think that there's aliens that are getting the people. It just makes common sense. They don't bother me, they don't bother my kid. My little girl comes here, and we like them. So, I don't have any problem with it. But I don't think they were real smart to come forward with this, very honestly.
But come forward they have, with the whole story.